slow seasons don't last. Your busy season will come around again, and you'll be grateful that you had that extra time to plant new seeds, whatever those seeds may be, whether it's to, make your business better, make you better, whatever it may be. You will be grateful that you had that extra, lag time.
Oh my goodness, Kimberly. Thank you so much for saying yes to this interview. This is the first interview I'm doing for 2024, and I'm so happy.
And I'm so honored and happy to be here.
Yeah, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this podcast, I'd love to give you the floor and introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what do you do?
Hi, I'm Kimberli. I live in Savannah, Georgia with my husband. I am a community engagement manager. So what that means is I manage engagement for online business builders' Instagram accounts, building their community, making connections, making sure that everything is done genuinely. I feel like connections and community are so important in your business. I hate when people just, jump to the gun and go right into, hey, you want to buy this? I think, building that trust and relationship is important. And I think what I love most about it is just being able to make those connections and get to know people. It's, fun watching what comes out of the connections I make for my clients, whether they turn into a client for them or they turn into a collaboration or, another fun opportunity. So that is what I do. And then just a few more things. I love to read. I am a total book nerd. I am a 90s millennial lover. I have dance parties in the kitchen. I have 2 fur babies. They are just my heart and soul. I love to drink champagne.
I love what you said about authenticity, not jumping the gun and selling immediately. I feel like that is so 2020. Sometimes you feel like they're your friends and then suddenly, okay, buy this thing. I'm curious, how did you end up being in the community and engagement niche, I would say? Were you always interested? Did you have a sales background or?
It's funny because I am a total, I don't like being the first to talk to people and make connections in person. So it was funny how this kind of just came about. I'm super good at it online. I find it so much easier. But before that, I was a social media manager. I, made content and did things like that. So I was familiar with the engagement piece. But back then it was more so just liking and scrolling and, leaving little comments. And while I was doing that, I really figured out that I love talking to people online. I love connecting with people and making friends. And I was like, how can I turn this into business? Because social media management, content, things like that. So I start off and I went more. But I see this and I will where I am now. And I look at it.
Yeah, I get that. I also started as a social media manager. And what year did you start, if I may ask?
Oh, goodness. It's so hard. I never know because I feel like I've always had that little entrepreneur piece of me that has always been doing something. I think it was 2018.
Oh, wow. So in that era, I would say a social media manager is usually one person who does everything, right?
It was exhausting.
Content. Yeah, you're expected to create content, to create the captions, to engage, to convert into sales. And then now social media is an entire team. It is tiring. Not to mention the ever-changing algorithms. Just when you thought you've nailed it down, they changed it.
They changed them. Yeah. It's so funny. I think so many of us in business have started off as social media managers and then kind of progressed to whether it's a coach or podcast or whatever it may be. It's really funny. A lot of people I talk to have started as a social media manager.
Yeah. And I think it's also a great start because when you're a social media manager, you're everything, right? So
you're learning so much. You're learning what you want to do. So
yeah. And then right now, the economy, I believe, or the landscape now is giving you the chance to focus on one. So it's great that you're focusing on community and engagement. And I love that you love it. Personally, I hated that part of social media.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It takes a lot of effort and time and just being willing to, have conversations, I guess. In-depth conversations.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking about like in-depth conversations, like how do you manage that in the DMs? Because like I feel like not everybody is as friendly. And how do you deal with that? I guess like just to give a context, before when I was a social media manager and like I would speak to people, like whatever, they would turn me down or, like they would shut me down or like just ignored me. I'd be hurt. So how do you deal with that?
It's you kind of just, after it's happened a lot of times, you kind of just say, okay, this person's not for me, on to the next. You'll find your people. And it's kind of a good thing that people are like that, because then you're really able to see, because like there's people's Instagram accounts that I love. I think they're amazing. But then you get to talking to them and that person is different than their content. And you're like, oh, I'm glad, we had this little conversation first and that you kind of like turned me away, because you're not someone I want to connect with anyways. So you kind of just learn to be like, okay, there'll be someone else. Someone else will want to talk to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you can't please everybody anyway. So
No.
yeah.
Oh gosh, no. No.
I think I just never really had like the heart to like face rejections head on, because I feel like for community managers and people who does engagement, you guys are like in the front line. You are the receiving end of the no's, and I don't think like I'm built for that.
The brunt of it.
Yeah. But you seem to be really enjoying it and you seem to be really thriving in it. So that is pretty great.
It's like have its moments, just like everything else, but
For sure. One of the main reasons I would say, like, apart from your energy, because like I really love watching your stories and I love looking at your updates. Like one of the things that really encouraged me to reach out to you and invite you to be a guest on my podcast is one of this. It's like a story sequence that you were very vulnerable. Like you shared about experiencing slow seasons and how you ended up embracing or finding the joy in it. And I'm curious about that. Like, can you share more about that slow season, if that's okay with you?
yes, of course. Where to start? 2023 in general was a slow season. It was a slow season altogether. And parts of that, I think, is because I ended 2022 not happy with my business. I had a ton of clients that weren't aligned and I was just burning myself out. And so I almost kind of think I manifested this slow season, to be honest, because when 2023 started, I was like, please, universe, God, whoever, like, I need a rest. I need a break. And that's when like clients started to fall off. And it was scary as hell. I won't lie, because that's my income. My income was dropping off. And finally, around March, I was like, I need to invest in myself, in my business. And that was the first time I really invested in myself and my business. And it was a mindset coach. And that was what helped me figure out that, okay, this slow season is what I need. And it just really was, the finishing piece to the puzzle of why everybody was dropping off. I needed this time for me to work on me and figure out what direction I wanted to take my business. It was hard though. It was tough. It was really slow. I had nobody reaching out, and parts of me was like celebrating that because I didn't want anybody. And then parts of me was like, shit, like my business isn't growing. What am I going to do?
First of all, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it's not easy to admit, or sometimes it's not fun to admit that nobody's reaching out, like it's a slow season and all that.
It makes you feel like a failure. You feel like you're not good at what you do, but that's not the case.
Exactly. Yeah. You started in 2018. I started in 2020. And I feel like for us who kind of started a bit earlier, because right now there are so many service providers, right? Like suddenly there's so many social media managers. There's so many engagement specialists and all that. I guess for us who started a bit earlier in this journey, in this path, we're all tired. We'd probably think that right now we'd be used to like the ebbs and flows of this creative business. But sometimes when it hits you, it really hits you, And I guess like my question is, how were you able to deal with it?
So the mindset coach helped a lot. I worked on my mindset daily, whether it was journaling, meditation, affirmations. And I know a lot of people think those are silly, but they really helped me. But besides all of that, I just started doing stuff that, filled my cup up, things that I love to do that I wouldn't normally do because I was so knee deep in client work. So I started reading more books. Like I mentioned earlier, I love dance parties. I started having more dance parties because I had more time to do that. I started showing up on Instagram in a more fun way because I didn't feel like I had to be selling and, all of that other business stuff. I showed up in my stories daily and I shared very lightly my service because I was still kind of like, is this the service I want to continue with? But I still kind of share that and put myself out there. And I was starting to get more people like, hey, 2024, I would love to work with you. Or, I was getting more opportunities. I was getting like people who wanted to collaborate, podcasts, lives, all different things. And so that was all good stuff that just really helped me get through that, lag of, okay, well, what am I going to do? I don't have any clients. I kept myself pretty busy. You'll be surprised that when you have that time, you'll be like, wow, I can actually go do XYZ that I couldn't do when I had, 10 clients on my roster.
Yeah, I could tell. For me also, like I ended 2023 with like lesser clients than I expected. And I was like, what you said, it was really scary because, we have bills and we have a lifestyle. We have a lifestyle, like, and all that. Yeah, it was pretty difficult, but I totally agree with you that sometimes like the slowness is necessary. Like, I guess, and I want to hear your thoughts as well. Because for me, at first, I was so angry in a way myself. Like, I let this happen. Probably in relation to what you mentioned that you think you maybe manifested the slow season. I was also thinking that, like, I kept on complaining, like, oh my God, there's so much stuff to do. And now that I have more space to do things, I'm still complaining. So the universe was probably like, girl, what do you really
want? What do you want?
Yeah. So another backstory, right? So one of the reasons why I am a podcast manager or like a freelancer basically was because I left my 9 to 5. I wanted to break free from that hamster wheel without me realizing that I just made a bigger hamster wheel for myself. So it was in that slow season that I saw that. So for me, that was my biggest gift, I would say. I'm wondering what your biggest gift was like for you.
There's a few. Okay, so the really slow season started around summertime. And again, I think I manifested that because my birthday's in July and I always take the week we go to my parents' house to visit them and celebrate. And every year before this past July, I'm always working. I always take my client work with me. I'm always, we're in the pool and everyone's having fun and I'm in the corner with my phone. And this past July, I said, no, I am not doing that. I'm enjoying my birthday. And I did that. And it was the most beautiful gift that I fully got to be present with my family, enjoy my birthday, celebrate me because I love birthdays so much, and just have a good time and not have that extra load of client work. I was able to set that boundary of what I needed. And that was a beautiful gift. And then that, proceeded to go into the holidays. I was able to fully take these last few weeks off to enjoy Christmas, to enjoy New Year's, and not feel like I had to do client work or I had to post content about my offer or whatever it may be. And so that alone is a beautiful gift as well.
What I'm hearing from you is like, apart from the free time, the gift that I'm also hearing that I feel like I need to receive this season is setting boundaries. So how is that like for you? In the previous seasons or like probably in the previous years, did you also have problems with setting boundaries? And how did you finally set your foot down and say like, hey, you know what? It's my birthday. I deserve to celebrate another year. How is that like for you?
Yeah, I never did that before until this last July, and it was scary. It was scary. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna, the few clients I have left, they're gonna leave me because I want to celebrate my birthday and not, do their work that they pay me for. And it didn't happen like that. They were like, have fun, enjoy your birthday. Like, I think we make a bigger deal of things than they really are. And I feel like also if they did make a big deal about it, they weren't an aligned client then. If they're not going to respect your boundaries, then you don't need them.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And the reason why I'm asking you this question, because like for the longest time until now, like I feel like I still have a boundary issue. To the people who are listening and not watching this podcast, while she was sharing about like finally getting to enjoy her birthday, not bringing her work while people were in the pool, I was nodding my head off because that was me also. And I feel like at some point it just gets tiring to be in there, but not really there, like you're in there physically, but you're doing other things. In a way, it kind of defeats the purpose of being a freelancer. And then I love what you said about your clients respecting your boundaries. I was wondering, like, did you have to train any of them to kind of respect your boundaries? Or like, did you have to train any of them, like saying, hey, I'll be working from this hour to this hour and all that? Was there a conversation that you had to have with them?
Yes and no. I feel like some of my boundaries were already in my contract, but they weren't in depth of like taking my birthday off and stuff. So yeah, those kind of conversations I needed to have, like, hey, I'll make up this day the week before or the week after, but I'm taking this time. And then after I did that, I did add that into my contracts. Those are just boundaries now that I'm going to stick with. They're already in the contract. I don't need to have those conversations anymore. And who knows, maybe more boundaries will come up and more conversations will need to be had, but I'll just keep adding them in my contract as I go. And I think having this slow season really helped me figure out what boundaries I do want to set and have in stone. And
yeah, that makes total sense. So now that you have set your boundaries, and then now that you've kind of learned from the slow season and you're starting to show up more, how is business like for you? Like, do you feel like you're going to ramp up anytime soon, or are you going to maintain this spaciousness that you already have?
So during my slow season, I actually created 2 new business ventures, I guess you can call them, that I've been putting on the back burner. So they're not like 100% ready to share yet, but they are happening. And my hope is that those 2 will be launched soon this year and kind of be what ramps up my business again. As far as like clients, I am starting off slow still. And I'm okay with that because I'm still not 100% sure the direction I want to go service-wise, what I want to offer. I'm kind of just tiptoeing in and sharing little bits and pieces to see what my audience likes. I do have people, like I said, that reached out last year, 2023, that said they wanted to work with me in 2024. So I'm kind of holding on to that hope as well. And I'm just kind of taking it day by day, and what happens, happens. I'm kind of just tired of feeling like I have to always go head in and, have clients lined up and I need to be going hard. I'm embracing and enjoying this slow season for as long as it lasts.
I know, like, it is the season where everybody's like starting your year strong and started with a bang. And like just a few weeks ago, it was like ending 2023 with a bang. Like everything with a bang. So since you did not end or not start the 2023 and 2024 with a bang, like how is that like for you? Like you're slowly easing into it. What is the experience like?
I think for me personally, and some people like to do that with a bang and start with a bang, but for me, I need this slowness because I think if I ended with a bang and started with a bang, I would be burnt out by February or March. I need to ease in. 12 months, that's a long time. A year is a long time. It goes by fast, but it's a long time to just constantly be going. I need that little slowness. I need to ease into whatever is coming up next. And I feel like that's a good thing because slow seasons don't last. My busy season will pick up at some point, and when it does, I want to be well rested and ready for that.
You're totally right. A year is 12 months. We don't have to rush into things. And I can honestly say that because that's what I did last year. So I did the bang thing. Last year, I did the bang thing. So I started with a bang. Like, you were right. By February, I was burned out.
Tired.
By the second quarter, the third quarter, I started feeling lost. And then I started with a bang. So I did with a fizzle. Lol. Yeah.
Fizzle. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So I felt like I
Yeah.
was dying. It were a fire. It was like slowly fading out. It only makes sense because
Yeah.
I did that thing. I did the bang thing. And I love what you're
Yeah.
saying about like pacing yourself because like 12 months is a long
Mhm.
time. Really, there's no rush. And I think also kind of ties back into what I said earlier. Like we are not in the hamster wheel anymore. So we don't have to do that.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I really love what you said that slow seasons don't last. And when you start
Mhm.
having busier seasons, you'd be more well rested. I believe when that happens, you can show up better and, you know, you could serve your
Yes.
new clients better. And that's just so refreshing to hear, you know. And I totally agree. There are people who loves to start with a bang and there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually really good for the people. It's great for the people who loves it and who
Absolutely.
can do it.
Mhm.
But there are people like us who get so tired easily. So I think it's very refreshing to hear, I guess, like the other side that it's okay to probably start with a spark.
A spark. I like.
Yeah, and then slowly like keep the fire as long as you like keep the fire going, gets bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. And so I'm curious, now that you have sort of like figured out this whole slow season thing, like you're
Mhm.
enjoying it, you're present,
Mhm.
you're happy with where you are right now.
Mhm.
There are people who aren't, like the people who are listening to us might be still in an anxious state because let's face it, we are, I would say, like accustomed to be always like running mode or ticking the box mode
Yeah.
or, you know, like going from one goal up to the other. So probably now that they're experiencing a slow season, either they're
Yeah.
anxious or panicking or might even think like it's the end of it. Do you have any advice, tips for them?
I want to start off by saying those feelings are normal. You know, you're going to feel like that. It's slow seasons are tough. What I suggest is to try to look past the frustration of that slow season and really try to see what it is trying to tell you, to teach you. It's a gift and you'll figure that out when it's, you know, the slow season passes, but you need to really think about what is it teaching you? What is it trying to tell you? Is it trying to tell you that maybe the specific business you are doing isn't for you anymore? Is it trying to tell you you need to tweak something? Is it trying to tell you you need to actually be working on you? A slow season is telling you something. It is happening for a reason. So just really try to sit with it and think about it. I like to journal those things. So maybe take out a journal and journal those few questions. It might be helpful. And then you need to remember, and we said this already, slow seasons don't last. Your busy season will come around again, and you'll be grateful that you had that extra time to plant new seeds, whatever those seeds may be, whether it's to, you know, make your business better, make you better, whatever it may be. You will be grateful that you had that extra, you know, lag time. Also remember, you are not alone. There are so many people who are having slow seasons, and keep in mind, not everybody shares it on their social media. They're only sharing the good that is coming out of their business. They're not showing when they have those lags and slow seasons. So you really can't rely on social media and get sucked into the scrolling of, oh my God, they're doing so much better than me. They're not having a slow season. They never have a slow season. They are. It happens to everybody at some point. And then I would say just embrace it. Embrace both the slow and the fast season. And like I said, use that slow season to start planting those new seeds. It's not going to last long, and you'll really appreciate the slow season once it's passed. And maybe even during, because I really learned to appreciate it during the slow season. So
I think that's one of the things that most people who are in the slow season overlook. They don't really see it as an opportunity to recalibrate or rethink a few things.
Mhm.
And it's true, like even for myself, I also didn't see it that way. It was later on that I realized that, oh, okay, like maybe the reason why I needed to take a step back is because it's not working anymore. Things are not
yeah,
working
exactly.
anymore. And then if I didn't have the slow season, I wouldn't see that. I really love what you said about planting the seeds. And I feel like we are not designed to be always on the go.
Mhm.
Just like the seasons of the flower or something, they're not
Yep.
always blooming. There are seasons
Mhm.
where there's no flowers. That's a really bad
Right. Exactly.
analogy, but
No,
but yeah,
you're right. You're right.
it's not all the time when flowers are bloom. I guess it's the same for us. People get tired. And another thing that I really love most about what you said is that you took this time as an opportunity to I would say rebuild yourself.
Honestly, I think Kimberly back in like 2022, because I've always had slow seasons. Like I said, they're going to happen. I think back then I did. I don't know what it was about 2023. Maybe it was working on my mindset. I don't know. Or maybe deep down, I just really knew I needed this step back. I didn't resist it. I was scared. Yeah, I was angry. I had emotions, but I wasn't resisting it. I let it happen.
I love that. Yeah, for sure we're going to have slow seasons again, or like it's really going to happen because, again, it's a season,
Yep.
it's a cycle. I guess like for
Yeah.
me, one of the things that I'm taking from this conversation is to not resist the slow season, because I feel like for me, the reason why my slow season stretched on, because like for the first 2 months, I was resisting so hard. Things started to slow down for me. And instead of taking a step back, try to see the bigger
Mhm.
picture of what's happening. Like, why is it starting to become slow? I was pushing and pushing. It kept, like, I felt like I was just shooting arrows and it just went all over the place. It didn't hit into the bullseye anymore because like I was resisting it. And then I felt like after the entire thing, I felt like if I just did not resist those first 2 months, perhaps I could have shortened the slow season. I could have maybe seen it sooner. But then
Absolutely.
again, everything is a learning experience.
Absolutely.
Now I know that when it
Yep.
happens, you have to
Yep.
you have to kind of like be in it. Like just like emotions,
Let it
like these
happen.
seasons, yeah, they
Mhm.
demand to be felt. They demand to be
Mhm.
experienced. So
Yep.
yeah, I love
Yep.
that. Thank you, Kimberly. This is so therapeutic. I love this conversation.
It's
And
one of my favorite conversations.
yeah, and I love that I'm starting off this year with this conversation because it's kind of very comforting to know that while everybody's rushing ahead and while it's great that
Mhm.
they are, like zooming and starting with a bang, it's okay for us to kind of slow down and like let them do their thing and then
Yeah.
we follow along.
You're already ahead. If you're giving yourself that time to just not burn yourself out, you're already ahead. So enjoy the slow season. It'll end. Just embrace it. Like we said, embrace it. Don't
Yeah.
fight it.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing all of these
Of course.
things. I'm pretty sure like the people who are listening learned a lot from the conversation. I personally learned a lot. Thank you so much for taking the time. But before I let you go on with your day, I believe it's morning in your side of the world. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's
It
nighttime.
is 10 a.m. on my side.
Yeah, I'm already in my PJs. But yeah, so before I let
Love
you go
it.
and like let you probably go on a dancing party if you're gonna have one today, maybe you could share with listeners where we can find you if they want to connect with you, or if you have any offers during this season, let us know. Where can we find you? How can we connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So Instagram, I am aligned with Kimberly, and that's an I at the end of Kimberly, not a Y. Everyone always is like, "Oh, your name's spelled so different." I'm like, "Yes, I know." And then my website is www.lifewithkimberly.com. And right now, because it's my slow season, I don't really have like big offers or anything, but definitely follow along because I do have stuff, like I said, that I've been working on in my slow season, and I'm just really excited to share them with the world.
Thank you again so much, Kimberly, for taking the time. I've been saying it over and over again. Really love everything you said. I'm so excited to edit this podcast because like I feel like I'm gonna bask into the words that you've been saying again.
Thank you for thinking of me and having me on.
Yeah, I hope you had fun too with this conversation.
I did. I absolutely did. You're amazing.